What is going on, everyone? Misha Wilson here. Welcome to another episode of Marketing with Misha, where I answer your questions here on almost a daily basis and give you the cutting-edge marketing training you need to succeed. On today's episode, I'm going to be answering one of the best questions I've gotten in a long time. I think just because it's a question that I love and a question that I never really get asked that often in the online space. And it's really specifically about how you can create an offer that completely and totally crushes it, allows you to dominate the competition, and really, again, stand out from the crowd, increase your conversions, make more sales, and do it all without the head trauma that most people experience trying to get conversions online. So if that sounds good to you, go ahead, stick around until the very end. That's exactly what we're gonna cover here today. Let me know what your name is and where you're coming in from. Give me a quick yes in the comments below this video if you can hear my voice and see me, and I'll go ahead and dive into today's little episode. So, awesome question by James, and James actually asked, Misha, what's the best way to be sure that when you create an offer, it's gonna be a winner, all right? What's the best way to be sure you can create an offer that's going to be a winner? And D, how are you? B, how are you? Dinah, how are you? Marie, how are you? Good to see all of you guys here live with me. Give me some likes, comments, hearts, shares, all that jazz. And with that said, I'm gonna go ahead and dive in. So again, awesome question. Usually the questions I get are, what's the one best source of traffic? What's the one best source of traffic that'll convert the best without having to do anything, without having to work, so I can just sit back and make money on autopilot? And firstly, the fact that you're creating an offer, the fact that you're putting in the time and the effort and the energy to brainstorm how to create an offer shows a lot about you. So congratulations, James, because again, it's really where the secret sauce is with marketing. And I'm gonna have an answer that's maybe a little bit different. And it's obvious in one sense, but it's also maybe different from what other people may tell you. Now there's tactics for sure when it comes to using risk reversal. So with a guarantee, and instead of a 30-day money back guarantee, reverse the risk. So 30 days money back. If you're not happy, I'll send you $100 for wasting your time. So there's tactics like that. There's tactics when it comes to make the bonuses the best component of the offer and then work scarcity around the bonuses, right? And you should use all of those things. You should most definitely use all those things because those are definitely conversion amplifiers. But really at a core level, what I see most people do that completely and totally ruins their offers and just kind of ruins the effectiveness of the overall sale is the fact that they start with the product instead of starting with the person who they're selling the product to, all right? So they start with what the actual product is, and they get set on what the actual product is and what the product should be before really brainstorming, getting really intimate on who the person is that they're actually going to be selling the product to on the other end, all right? And what that leads to is that leads to you creating a product with the most benefits and you creating a product with the most features, and you're really going above and beyond to illustrate the benefits. You going above and beyond to illustrate the features, and you going above and beyond to illustrate the advantages of your offer. And those things are all good. Those things are all great. You should do that. But if the offer's wrong, if the product's wrong for the person on the other end of it, you're doing all this work with trying to make the features seem really cool, with trying to make the benefits seem really cool, with trying to make the advantages seem really cool, just to try to sell it to a person who isn't interested in it to begin with, which makes your life really hard as a salesman. Your sales copy has to be perfect. Your webinar presentation has to be perfect. Your video sales letter, whatever medium of selling you're going ahead and selling through, it has to be perfect. And then even when it is perfect, chances are that your conversions still won't be as good as they could be because the thing isn't actually specifically built for an actual individual, all right? So if you're actually at a point where you're getting ready to create an offer, if you're at a point where you're brainstorming an offer, thinking about what offer you should create, the most important question, bar none, hands down, is very simply, who am I actually creating this offer for? All right, what desires does that person actually have? What fears does that person have? What pleasures does that person want? What pains is that person experiencing? All right, and then what you want to do is instead of focusing on taking this product and then playing up the features and playing up the benefits and playing up the advantages, you simply want to understand what that person desires most, what that person fears most, and create a product that's in alignment with getting them closer towards what they desire and farther away from what they fear. All right? And then when your product, when your actual offer is something that does that, when your product is seriously actually something that provides value in a way that gets them towards their desire and away from their fears, the product in of itself, the offer in of itself sells itself to them, right? You don't need to play up the features. You don't need to play up the benefits. You don't need to play up the advantages. Give me some likes, comments, hearts, shares. This is gold, guys. To be honest, I'm not one to brag about my trainings, but again, if you just understand this lesson, you truly get it, this is what can, build $1 million business almost overnight if you implement it correctly. So please understand the value of this lesson. But when you have the right offer, when you have the right product, when you have that thing that's actually in alignment with what that person wants, then when you do play up the features, then when you do play up the benefits, then when you do play up the advantages, then when you do throw in risk reversal, then when you do throw in, a few amazing bonuses and have scarcity around those amazing bonuses, that's what makes it a complete and total no-brainer, all right? That's what makes it, I have some people on my webinars, and I've looked at comments before, and I've gotten to a point where I break down the offer, and I show the offer to people, and I build up the value, and I get to a point where I'm going in to make the offer, and I literally have people on the webinar who have commented in saying, wow, this thing is amazing. I just hope I have the money for it, right? It's a complete and total no-brainer. I just hope I have the money for it. And when you do that, when you start with the end in mind, when you start with the thought process of who am I actually selling to, what does that person actually want, how can I create something that gives that person their desire, that gives that person, the pleasure that they're looking for, gets that person farther away from the pain, gets that person farther away from what they're fearing in their life. And when you create that thing and then use those tactics that I talked about, adding on scarcity, around some really good bonuses, adding in risk reversal to your offer, that's when you get to a point where someone feels like they would be dumb if they didn't take your offer, like they're crazy if they don't pull out your credit card and give you money, all right? And that's what your offer should do. If your offer truly lives up to, being a completely and totally irresistible offer, when someone sees it, the reaction that the person has is, wow, I would be an idiot if I didn't pull out my credit card and buy right now. You will never get there by simply focusing on features, by simply focusing on benefits, by simply focusing on risk reversal, by simply focusing on tactical portions of the equation, if you don't have the actual strategic foundation in place when it comes to who am I actually marketing to, what specifically does that person want, what specifically does that person fear, what specific pleasure does that person want, what specific pain is that person feeling, and then you give them the thing. All right, it's like my old mentor Dagan Smith would say, "What good is an empty cup to you when you're walking around in the middle of the desert? It's not, it's not worth anything to you. A cup without the water isn't worth anything to you. No matter how pretty that cup is, no matter how much you want to hope that there's water in it, if the substance isn't actually there, nothing happens for you in your business. If the substance that compels people to buy isn't actually there, you're not going to see conversions. And the substance is giving the person exactly what they want. And that goes for everything, beyond just your offers, right? What I see a lot of people do, and what Dagan used to talk about a lot, is he would talk about the fact that people will spend so much time on getting their sales funnel looking, just perfect, getting their blog looking just perfect, making sure their emails were, edited just perfect, but there was no actually substance behind the site. There was no actually substance behind the funnel. There was no substance behind the content of the email. So even though the grammar was perfect, there was no substance behind what the actual written word was going ahead and giving and doing to the reader, right? And so always look at it from the perspective of how can I provide more substance? How can I, really dial in on what that person wants and then give it to them? And that's the way you really truly give the ultimate substance. And in this metaphor, you give the water to the person in the middle of the desert who hasn't drank for, 3 or 4 days, who's been in the middle of the desert sun and who's starving, thirsty, and about to pass out. if you go and you offer, a bottle of water to that person, whether you bought that bottle of water for $1 or $20, chances are that person will buy it for $100, whatever they have, they'll spend on that water because it truly is what that person needs at a core level. So, great question. Give me some likes, comments, hearts, shares, all that jazz. Please understand the value of this lesson. Please go back and watch this lesson again. Please go back, watch it 2, 3, 4 times until you actually truly understand the value that I'm sharing here today on this lesson, because it was a great question. I got to answer a great question, and great questions get, usually great answers. And we're not, again, trying to appear cocky by any stretch of the imagination, but I just truly want you to get it, because if you get this lesson, if you truly understand this lesson, this is the one lesson that can literally spark $1 million business overnight. This is the one lesson that can spark 10x growth overnight. This is the one lesson that can spark you going from wherever you are to wherever you want to be more quickly than anyone else. Truly understanding that if you start with who you're marketing to, and if you actually build something specifically for that person, that's how you create an offer that crushes it. That's how you create an offer that dominates the competition, and that's what allows you to separate yourself from the crowd long term. So that's my message for you here today. Give me some likes, comments, hearts, shares, all that jazz. If you guys got value, leave me a quick comment below letting me know what your biggest takeaway was. And as always, I appreciate each and every one of you. All right, guys, later.